Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I hope everyone is well, and Chag Sameach, happy Sukkot. Of course, you can see behind me that our symbolic indoor sukkah is set up for our Shabbat service as the holiday of Sukkot continues. I'm very pleased that you're with us this evening virtually to celebrate Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, Cantor.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, Kevin.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
It's great to be for the three of us to be together and to be with you as we welcome Shabbat. So we are going to begin now with our prayer. We continue now with our opening song, which is Yivarechecha Adonai Mitzion. That may be found on page 355 of the Shabbat prayer book, page 355.
Yivarechecha Adonai Mitzion, Oredet Yerushalayim. Yivarechecha Adonai Mitzion, Kol Yemei Mechayecha. Ulevanim levanecha, Shalom al Yisrael. Levanim levanecha, Shalom al Yisrael. Levanim levanecha, Shalom al Yisrael. Levanim levanecha, Shalom al Yisrael.
Our service continues now on pages 2 and 3 of the prayer book. We continue with the blessing for the Shabbat candles. You are welcome to rise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu v'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot and commands us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Shabbat. Amen.
You may be seated. Our service continues now on page 4. Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Boker, Yom HaShishi, and there was evening and there was morning, the 6th day.
Vayechel hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tziba'am. Vayechel hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tziba'am. Vayichol Elohim bayom hashvi'i l'achto asher asah. Vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asah. Vayechel hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tziba'am. Vayechel hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tziba'am. Vayvarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vayikadesh oto. Ki bo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot. Vayechel hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tziba'am. Vayechel hashamayim ve'haaretz v'chol tziba'am.
We continue now with the Kiddush prayer on page 5. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotov v'ratzavonu. Shabbat kadsho bi'ava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki lo yom techila l'mikra'e kodesh, zecher l'tziot mitzvayim. Kivanu v'chata v'yotanu kidashta mika'amim v'shabbat kodshecha v'ava uvratzon in Chatanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. And you're welcome to be seated. Our service continues on page 6 of the prayer book. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We will continue now on page 10 with Hine Matov Umanai.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
How good and pleasant it is that brothers and sisters dwell together. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad, from Psalm 133, verse 1. Let us continue now on page 26 of the prayer book with the Chatzi Touch.
Yigdal Shemei Rabbah, Yalmad Yifrach Elotei, Yamlich Malchutei, B'chayim Chonov Yom Echon, Uvchayim Echad Beit Yisrael, Bagalo, Ubizman Kamis, V'yimeru, Amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah Mevarach, Le'olam u'le'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ad v'yitraman v'yitnaser, v'yitador, v'yitalal, Shemei Nikudisha, Le'ela mincha v'hata, v'shirata, Tushbichata, Nechemata, Damiran mi'alema, V'yimeru, Amen.
We turn to page 28 now as we rise for the Baruch Hu, the call to worship.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamivorach. Baruch Adonai Hamivorach, Hamivorach le'olam moed. Hamivorach, Hamivorach le'olam moed.
You may be seated. I will continue reading now the Ma'ariv Aravim prayer, page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim. Behochma poteach she'arim, uvituna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, v'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, ve'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, uma'avdio ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravi. We continue now on page 33. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. We turn now to pages 34 and 35 as we rise and offer the Shema together.
Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Vaed.
You may be seated. We continue now with Ve'ahavta, page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'dvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta aham v'shivtecha b'vetecha uv'lechlecha v'derech uv'shachmecha uv'kumecha l'kshartam le'yod al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha uv'kavtam Amazizot betecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lihiyot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Our service continues now on page 40 with Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, Mi chamocha nedor ba'kodesh, Norah tehilot, Osef Malechutecha ra'uva lecha, Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, Ze'eli anuvim amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Ze'eli anuvim amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed.
Our service continues now on page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, aporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. Our service continues now on page 44 with the Shamru.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'golotam v'ritolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'golotam v'ritolam. B'nei Oven b'nei Yisrael, b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'golotam v'ritolam. Ki shreishet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'golotam v'ritolam. Uvayom ha'ashvi Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat v'golotam v'ritolam.
The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. It is a sign for all time between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Our service continues now with the tefillah, beginning on page 46. You are welcome to rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agiti hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevig Ula Livnei V'nehem, L'ma'an Shemo B'Yava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mikayeh HaKol atah Rav L'Hoshia, Morid Hatal. Mechalkel Chaim b'Chesed, Mechayeh HaKol b'Rachamim Rabim. Tzomech noflim v'rofei cholim, u'matir asurim, u'mkayem emunato, nishenei afar, michamocha ba'gevurot, u'mido melech, melech memit, ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You are welcome to be seated. And now I will be reading on page 56 of the Ritzeh, followed by the prayer for Sukkot. Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer and love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your spirit upon us. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu. Our God and God of our fathers and mothers, on this day of Sukkot, be mindful of us and all your people Israel, for good, for love, for compassion, life, and peace. Remember us for well-being. Amen. Visit us with blessing. Amen. Help us to a fuller life. Amen. Now, at this time, we continue on page 60 of the prayer book with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav on Israel tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav on Israel tasim le'olam. Ki ato melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ato melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav on Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav on Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov be'enecha livarech et amcha Yisrael. Mechareto b'chol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav on Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav on Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai Hambarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
This evening now for the prayer for our country, I'll be reading on page 61. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, amivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. We turn ahead in the prayer book now to page 259 as we offer the prayer for the state of Israel. Sha'alu, Shalom, Yerushalayim, Yishlayo Ohavayich. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. Avinu Shebashamayim, Sur Yisrael V'Goalo. O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there. Amen. This time in our service, we turn back to page 253 in the prayer book. As we prepare to offer the Misha Berach prayer now, we call to mind all those in our lives in need of healing, whether that be a healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. If there's someone in your life in need of a healing prayer, please feel free to type in their names now in the YouTube comments so that we may think of them and pray for them as well. And of course, to offer their names in your hearts. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Vimotenu, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Uyavarech et Acholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion, for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as we say, Amen. And for healing this evening, we think of Susan O'Malley. We continue now with the Misha Berach prayer.
Strength who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikol Avraham Yavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
We take a few moments now for our own silent prayers and reflections.
aleinu, ki al kol Yisrael v'yimru, Imru, Amen. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, Ya'aseh shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Thank you, Cantor and Kevin. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
This evening, I would like to speak about a Jewish woman role model, a woman who ascended to the peak of the justice system in our country, a tireless advocate for women's rights and justice, a Jewish role model, a woman whose life and work was guided by Jewish tradition. Of course, I am speaking about Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg of blessed memory. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away on Erev Rosh Hashanah, September 18th, at the age of 87 years old. She was born and raised in Brooklyn to Jewish immigrant parents, Nathan and Celia Bader. Justice Ginsburg liked to say, "What is the difference between a bookkeeper in New York's Garment District and a Supreme Court justice? Just one generation." Upon her passing, Justice Ginsburg was given one of the highest honors in our country. She was the first woman to lie in state in the Capitol building. The practice of paying tribute to distinguished public servants by having them lie in state at the Capitol dates to 1852 and is among the rarest of posthumous tributes, an honor given to presidents, senators, and representatives. Due to her tireless work on behalf of justice, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was placed in repose in the Capitol building as well. This evening, then, let us reflect upon the life of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her journey from Flatbush, Brooklyn, to the highest court in the land. Now, in the history of our country, there have been 8 Jewish justices of the Supreme Court. With Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing, 2 Jewish justices currently sit on the court, Stephen Breyer and Ilana Kagan. Justice Ginsburg was only the second woman justice in the history of the Supreme Court, and she was the first Jewish woman to become a justice. Of course, the first Jewish Supreme Court justice was Louis Brandeis, who was appointed to the court in 1916. Brandeis was a tireless advocate for social justice. During his legal career, Brandeis took many cases for no pay at all, and he was known as the Robin Hood of law. Brandeis was also active in the Zionist movement, seeing it as a solution to anti-Semitism in Europe and Russia. In 1916, President Wilson nominated Brandeis to become a member of the Supreme Court. His nomination was bitterly contested, partially because he was a militant crusader for social justice, whoever his opponent might be, and the fears of the establishment were greater because Brandeis was the first Jew to be named to the court. On June 1st, 1916, Brandeis was confirmed by the Senate and became one of the most famous and influential figures ever to serve on the High Court. Now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg took some of her inspiration from Louis Brandeis. She too was a tireless advocate for social justice. Ginsburg spent much of her legal career as an advocate for gender equality and women's rights, winning many arguments as a lawyer before the Supreme Court. After she was confirmed in 1993, Justice Ginsburg continued her pursuit of justice and equality and became known for her passionate dissents in numerous cases. Judaism was also an important part of the life's journey of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ruth grew up in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and graduated from James Madison High School. You can throw a comment there on YouTube if you went to James Madison High School, because I know a lot of people in our congregation did. Ruth Bader Ginsburg grew up in an observant Jewish home and attended the East Midwood Jewish Center. Justice Ginsburg grew up like many members of our congregation in that borough of Brooklyn. In the summers, she attended camp in the Adirondacks, where she was known as the camp's junior rabbi and would lead Shabbat prayers. Barely a year after the Holocaust ended, a teenage Ginsburg wrote an essay in her synagogue bulletin entitled "One People," about the importance of a world free of prejudice. Justice Ginsburg's Jewish journey was deeply affected by the loss of her mother when she was 17 years old. Pre-guessing her pioneering work for women's rights, Ginsburg spoke about how she stopped feeling connected to Jewish ritual during the Shiva for her mother. There were a house full of women at the Shiva, but not enough men for the minyan. Thus, no prayer service was held. We can only imagine how Ruth Bader Ginsburg must have felt, not being able to say Kaddish for her mother because there were not enough men in attendance. Of course, this is the reason why, as Reform Jews, we practice the complete equality of men and women in worship, as clergy members, and in all aspects of Jewish life. Even though Ruth Bader Ginsburg found herself more distant from Jewish ritual, Judaism remained an important part of her life and work. In her office, she kept a copy of the seminal verse from Deuteronomy, "Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof," "Justice, justice, you shall pursue." Ginsburg wanted to be reminded of justice and saw herself continuing the tradition of law in Judaism. In a 2015 article co-written with Rabbi Lauren Holtzblatt, Justice Ginsburg wrote about the heroic women of Passover. The article highlighted the importance of the women in the Passover story, including the midwives Shifra and Puah, who stood up to the Pharaoh and saved the life of Moses. As Justice Ginsburg wrote, these women had a vision leading out of the darkness shrouding their world. They were women of action, prepared to defy authority to make their vision a reality bathed in the light of day. Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away on Erev Rosh Hashanah at the age of 87 years old. She had overcome cancer 4 times, first diagnosed in 1999. Barely 5 feet tall and weighing 100 pounds, Justice Ginsburg drew comments for years on her fragile appearance. But she was strong in mind, in body, and in her passion for justice. In a workout session before her 80th birthday, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was able to complete 20 push-ups. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a Jewish heroine, like Miriam and the midwives of the Torah, and like Golda Meir for the state of Israel. We can take great pride in her accomplishments as a Jew, as a woman, and as a human being. Zecher Latzadik Livracha, may her memory be for a blessing. Amen. For our anthem this evening, Cantor will sing the piece "A Blessing for Social Justice" by Jeff Klepper in memory of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu לדור Asher kineshonu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'tos tzedek. Praise be the one who has commanded us to look around and challenge what we see, to chase after righteousness and justice, to make this world a better place to be. Baruch Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kineshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'tos tzedek. Asher kineshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'tos tzedek.
Thank you very much, Cantor. Our service will continue now with the Aleinu prayer. That may be found on page 282. You are welcome to rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tet gedolah yotzei breshit, shelo asanu ki goyei harasot, velo somanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam karkenu karem, v'gor aleinu kichol hamonam, v'anachnu korein u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamochim hakadosh baruch hu.
You may be seated.
Shehu teshamayim v'yosir haaretz, u'Moshe v'yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, u'shkinatu zo v'gaveh meromim, u'Eloheinu einoth, emet molkenu nefesh ulato, Kagatus, the Torah, Yadatoyom, the Hashivota, Elevadecha, Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim, Bashomayim, Nimal, Yoretz, Mitochat Enot, v'nemar v'haya Adonai, l'melech al kol haaretz, hayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, Shemo
Thank Thank you very much. I just want to point out here, I see in the comments, we have 2 graduates of Madison High School and somebody, Aaron Nair, bar mitzvah at East Midwood Jewish Center. Look at that. Look at that. All right, friends. Let's turn now to page 294 in the prayer book. As we prepare to recite the Kaddish prayer now, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. On this Shabbat, we recall for yahrzeit Seymour Armstrong, Eileen Bender, Jerry Edis, Rose Elbogen, Francis Fenichel, Esther Finkelstein, Max Finkelstein, Jared Kaminsky, Ethel Cass, David Milch, Helen Miller, Percy Mordechai, Marilyn Nissenson, Penny Parker, Walter Plumser, Seymour Rosen, Arnold Savitt, Wayne Savitt, Ray Seidner, Milton Weintraub, Selma Weiss, Rafal Berezowski, Lillian Beer, Fanny Locker-Brodsky, Saul Goldstein, A. Edward Levin, Leo Marcus, Maxwell Merkin, Ulrich Rosengarten, Rose Silverman, Rose Stoller, and Samuel Sturman. I'll invite you to rise now as we recall our loved ones and we join in reciting the Kaddish prayer. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah. V'yalma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh. V'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. V'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam ul'amei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei d'kudisha b'richut. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Thank you very much, Cantor and Kevin, for our beautiful music tonight. Our temple president, Alan Plumser, had his uproof at the East Midwood Jewish Center, and Dan Schaefer graduated from Madison High School. Look at that. Small world. All right, friends, a couple of upcoming announcements. This Sunday at 4 p.m., please note the earlier time, we will have our Simchat Torah outdoor backyard Simchat Torah service. It will also be streamed on YouTube. If you're planning on joining us for Simchat Torah, we would love to have you. Of course, we'll be wearing masks and practicing social distancing. We will have to make some modifications to our Simchat Torah service for safety. However, we will be chanting from all 5 books of the Torah. We will celebrate the Torah. We'll have our klezmer band, plays far away but loud, and we'll be sending everybody home with candy apples. So it should be a lot of fun. I hope you can join us for Simchat Torah. Monday, the 12th of October at 8 a.m. will be our virtual Yizkor service on YouTube. If you'd like to help support the temple on Wednesday and Thursday for October 14th and 15th, head over to Boscov's department store and mention that you are shopping for TBS. They're at the Woodbridge store or online, and 5% of your purchase goes to Temple B'nai Shalom. Looking ahead a bit, we will looking forward to our designer bag bingo and tricky tray, which will be Sunday, October 18th from noon to 4 p.m. Once again, it'll be in the backyard. We will be wearing masks and socially distanced. And Thursday, the 22nd of October at 7:30 p.m. will be our virtual DPEC virtual jazz concert featuring jazz vocalist Marianne Sullivan on YouTube. So, friends, I want to wish everybody a peaceful and a happy and a healthy week. Our closing song will be Adon Olam, page 321, followed by the Borei Motzi.
Adon Olam Hashem Alach, the Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Le'ena Samich Etzotov, Azar Melech Shemo Nikra, Ve'acharei Kiklot HaKol, Levado Yimroch Nora, Ve'hoya, Ve'hova, Ve'hoya B'tifara, Ve'hoecha Ve'en Sheni, Le'ham Shilo, Le'hakira, Le'li Reshit, Le'li Tachlit, Le'los, Le'hamitzvah, Le'hoeli, Ve'chaygoami, Le'tzachevli, V'yetzara, Le'holisi, Umanosli, Menot Kosi, V'yamekha, V'yado Afkid Ruchi, V'yeret Ishan V'ya'ira, Ve'im Ruchi, Gevi Ati, Adonai li, Ve'lo ira. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Stay safe and healthy.